A common thread I find with product-led companies having a hard time growing is the poor use or non-existent use of data. On one extreme, you have companies that are drowning in data and have loads and loads of dashboards, but have zero clue how to use them or how to draw insights from them. And on the other side, you have companies that build their products blindly and track nothing but the dollars coming in and out of their bank accounts. And if you're a SaaS leader and you're not fully leveraging data to make every business decision, you're just leaving growth on the table. Too many product-led founders are still relying on gut instinct or siloed metrics. You see, they care about net revenue retention, but don't pay attention to customer churn, for example. Or they care about trial to paid conversion, but have no idea what drives a conversion or how their customers get to value. They're building their product blindly. And here's the thing. Gut instinct and siloed metrics can only take you so far. Your probability of hitting $1 million are mediocre at best, and fewer companies hit that $3 to $5 million range in this manner. And that's likely because of luck. They probably got lucky with some product market fit and boom, they scaled there. But don't expect to grow beyond that without proper instrumentation, also known as data. In this video, I'm going to break down 3 proven ways to foster a data-driven culture throughout your org so your teams can stop guessing and start growing. And stick around because at the end of this video, I'm going to share how you can connect with me for a personalized growth strategy session to accelerate this transformation within your company and boom, grow. All right, so let's define what I mean by data-driven culture. A data-driven culture is one where decision-making, strategies, operation are all deeply rooted in data analysis and the insights that you gather from that rather than just intuition or guesswork. Surely there's a place for intuition and guesswork, but these actually serve to frame initial questions or assumptions that can be validated with actual data. They can also temporarily fill gaps where data may be unavailable, but again, only temporarily. A company with a mature, driven data culture often offers an environment that not only supports the data collection, but also systematically uses it to inform every aspect of the business. And it starts first and foremost with leadership at the top. It's not just about knowing their numbers, and all leaders must know their numbers, but actively championing data usage across their teams and investing in proper data infrastructure, the tools, and the training to support their teams to become more data literate. In a well-oiled, data-driven company, data is accessible and shared across all relevant teams and across all departments. People don't have to jump through hoops to access the insights they need. KPIs, metrics are all clearly defined and aligned with company goals. Product, marketing, sales, customer success, support, they all work together using shared data resources and draw insights from the same data sets. They speak the same language. But why is all of this important? Well, decisions based on real data are faster, more accurate, and ultimately drive sustainable growth. And when your entire company embraces this mindset, you'll see a ripple effect, stronger alignment, more accountability, and ultimately a much higher success rate at scaling your company. Now that we have scratched the surface of what it means to have a data-driven culture and why it's so important, let me offer you 3 key strategies. So first, make data accessible across teams. But to do that, you got to start at the top. Build a single company scorecard and track the most important KPIs there. Make sure the targets are set quarterly and then monthly and then observed weekly. Observed and discussed weekly. Things such as trials, new subscriptions, new business revenue, total subscribers, total revenue, total churn customers, total churn revenue, to name a few. Every company leader should own and be accountable for at least one of those KPIs in the leadership scorecard. Then share this scorecard with your entire company and encourage everyone to review it weekly. As a matter of fact, it will be even a great idea to give a weekly commentary on how your performance is going. Include it also in all of your all hands and speak to it with conviction and accountability. Speak about the numbers and what's happening. Then have every department head build their own scorecard that informs and rolls into the leadership one. And like in the leadership scorecard, the scorecard must contain clear quarterly and monthly targets. These scorecards should allow department heads to double click into their own metrics and explain their performance. All team members under the department head should own and be accountable to a metric within the department scorecard and should have the ability to properly track tactics that go towards improving their own metrics. Department scorecards should also be shared across all teams and discussed in cross-team alignment meetings. This is super important. With this approach, data isn't trapped in silos. Every department, whether it's sales, marketing, or product, or customer success, will have access to the same insights. Use tools that integrate across functions so everyone is aligned and pulling from the same source of truth. There is nothing worse than pulling marketing numbers on one side and sales numbers on the other, and then they just never agree. And ultimately, you agree to disagree in a very dysfunctional environment. So you want to make sure that you draw your data from the same source of truth. Second, foster a mindset where data drives every decision. Instead of making decisions based on what worked before or what hasn't worked before, encourage teams to test, measure, and adapt. Data should be the compass guiding your strategy. If your teams are afraid of failure or don't see failure as a learning opportunity, you have a culture that acts more like a cancer, slowly destroying and consuming your company's potential for innovation and growth. And rather than punishing failure, encourage experimentation and empower your team to own the decisions, gather the right insights, and learn from the outcomes, whether positive or negative. This approach builds resilience and adaptability, ensuring that every experiment, even if it doesn't achieve its desired result, contributes valuable insights that refine the future strategies. Finally, invest in data literacy training. Make sure your team knows how to read and interpret data. Too often, companies invest in analytics tools, but don't equip their teams with the skills to use them effectively. I worked with a company that invested over $80,000 on integrating and sending data to Mixpanel, but invested $0 and time on training all relevant teams on how to use it. And guess what happened? Crap. A year later, Mixpanel was out the door and the company just gave up on product analytics. So yeah, invest in tools, but also invest in training your team. This will empower your teams to build a stronger culture and grow your business. When you commit to building a data-driven culture, you're not just gathering information, you're equipping your team with the most accurate and actionable insights available. And in an environment that's product-led, this translates into a deeper customer understanding, faster course corrections when something's off, and ultimately a stronger, more loyal customer base. Think about it. When you know exactly what your users are doing, whether they're dropping off or why they're converting, you're not longer guessing your way through product development. You're making calculated moves that align with every customer need. And here's the bottom line. A culture that leverages data effectively isn't just chasing numbers, it's actually creating value. Data becomes the engine that drives the smarter strategies, better products, and most importantly, sustainable growth. To recap, if you want to cultivate a data-driven culture, focus on 3 things. Number 1, make data accessible, break down silos, and ensure that everyone has access to the same insights. Number 2, encourage data-driven decision-making. Promote experimentation and learning from outcomes, both good and bad. And number 3, invest in training for your team. Empower your team with the skills to interpret and leverage data effectively. By focusing on these pillars, you'll transform your company into one that doesn't just react, but proactively shapes its own growth trajectory. Now, if you're serious about transitioning to a product-led, data-driven hound, let's connect. I offer personalized growth strategy sessions designed to help you evaluate where your company stands today, identify the biggest growth opportunities, and implement a data-driven strategy that accelerates your transformation. You're going to walk away with actionable insights tailored specifically for your business, insights that you can start implementing pretty much right away. So, ready to make data your competitive advantage? Click the link below and schedule your session, and let's get your growth back on track.